take one brief moment to talk about Anna. Sorry, I saw her and it's instinctive. I can't stop it. You guys, I'm so glad you're here. This is gonna be so fun. All right, let me start off by kind of giving you. Now, how many of you guys were here at the panel yesterday? The Q&A session. Okay. Okay, basically all of you. Okay, hold on one second. As I said yesterday, I have been a huge Star Trek fan since I was a little boy. My mom taught me to sew. She taught me to use the sewing machine so that I could make my own uniforms, because she was tired of making them. And can I tell you a funny story? You know how they have the shirts in the black collar? I would watch the TV show and I would think to myself, how did they get the collar so tight around their neck? Because if you just pull a shirt over your head, the collar's looser. And I tried it, believe me. When I was 12 years old, I took magic markers and made the collars black on t-shirts and tried to pull them open. They were just never as snug as they were. And then one day, I was looking through a book, a Star Trek book, and I saw a picture of Chekhov. And there was something, a little bright spot up here on the black collar. And I was like, what is it? What is that? And I went to a fabric store. I want you to imagine, little scrawny Vic, 12 years old. I go to a fabric store, like a Joann Fabrics, and I show it to the lady, and you know what she says? Oh, that's an invisible zipper. What? And I thought, of course! They put a zipper in it. And if you look, here, stand up for me, baby. Turn around. See this t-shirt? This is a standard cut t-shirt. See the seams here, right? You look at the Star Trek uniforms, there's no seam here or here. They go like this. There's seams here, and they go like diagonally down underneath the arm. Well, I came to find out that that's a certain kind of a pattern. What's it called? There's a name for that, actually. I can't remember. It's like, I can't. But anyway, it actually had a name. So I started making uniforms with one of those seams on the original series uniforms was an invisible zipper. And you know why they did that? Again, it's not like being all cool. They did it so that they could do their makeup and still get the uniform on after they did all the makeup. So when you unzip it, it's this huge opening. Put the tunic on, they just zip it up. Isn't that awesome? I know, nerd-tastic, right? So anyway, I've always loved the original series, and I kind of got out of it for a long time. Not out of it, just to kind of melded into the background as life took over. But then about maybe 5 years ago, maybe 6, the girl that runs the Risible Rangers, Mandy, called me one day and she said, hey, you're a big Star Trek fan, aren't you? I'm like, duh. Yes. And she said, there's this, I just saw online, there's this fan group, or some fan production, and they recreated some of the sets, and they make Star Trek episodes. And I mean, like the 12-year-old was revived in me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I went and looked, and it was a fan group, and they weren't actors. And a lot of them didn't really look like they belonged in a Starfleet uniform, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to be delicate here, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, you see cosplayers, right? You're like, you really shouldn't be wearing that particular cosplay. But they had built a couple of the sets. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I contacted them. And I said, hey, you guys don't know me. My name is Vic Mignogna. I'm a voice actor. Here's a link to my IMDb page, and I'm a huge Star Trek fan. And they called me back, and they said, we would love for you to come up and be a part of what we're doing. So I went up there and walked on to the bridge of the Enterprise for the first time. Now, I want you to imagine, I don't even know how to equate this to you. Imagine if you love Full Metal Alchemist and you go to sleep and one morning you wake up and you get on a bus and you take the bus to Central City and you're able to walk around and walk into Colonel Mustang's office. You know what I mean? Or walk, you know what I mean? Walk and go and actually be in these physical locations that were only in your imagination or on a TV screen. They did never really exist anywhere, and suddenly they were solid physical places. That was kind of like what this was for me. I did a little bit of stuff up there, and then I was invited to direct an episode for another fan group called Starship Farragut. Now, if any of you are Star Trek nerds, and I'm hoping some of you are, you know that the Enterprise was only one of 12 starships in the fleet. There were 11 other starships in the fleet, and the Farragut was one of them. In fact, there was even an episode called Obsession, and here goes my nerddom again. An episode called Obsession, where they referenced that Kirk used to be serve on the Farragut under Captain Garavik was the captain at the time. Anyway, so these fans decided they were going to make their own fan series surrounding the adventures of the Farragut. They made their own characters. They had their own captain and first officer and engineer. So it was all original characters. And they invited me to come down and direct an episode for them. They had not yet had anybody who had actual directing, production, film experience. And so we went down about 2 years ago, and I directed an episode for them called The Price of Anything. And we had so much fun. They're the greatest guys, okay? And that's when I thought, you know, I have always wanted to play Captain Kirk. How can I make this happen? How can I make this happen? I don't know. But we decided that we were going to form a partnership. Now let me tell you this. The Farragut guys had built a bridge too. And in my opinion, it was even better than the other one. And I'll tell you why. First of all, the other one was a complete 360 closed-in bridge. Now that's cool if you're a museum exhibit. But if you're trying to shoot a television production, there's nowhere to go. It was closed in. You can't, like, for instance, if I want to take a shot of this girl, and then I want the camera to go like this and back away, you can't. There's the back of the bridge right here. Everything was too tight. Now in the original series, the bridge was on like pie wedges. And it was on wheels, and they would just roll sections of it away to get the shots they wanted. Why? Because it was made to shoot on. It wasn't a museum piece, it was a set for a TV show. In fact, there are shots, you guys, how many guys, when you watch the original series, do you remember a shot of Spock looking at his viewer, and the camera's right there, looking at him, well, the bridge is right there. How did they get that shot? The rest of the consoles are right there. How did they get the camera there? Well, they got the camera there because they rolled that section of the bridge out of the way, put the camera there. So the Farragut guys had built this bridge, and the whole front of it, where the view screen is, was open. So you could get in and out, set up lights, camera, everything, and get great shots. And also it was built really sturdy. So when you walk around like on the upper platform, it didn't creak and stuff. And the other guys, the first guys that I mentioned, they had put like LCD screens in the computer screens and stuff, which is cute, but it's not the original series. The original series had those certain graphic displays on the computers, and they blinked in a particular succession. And we all know they had like Christmas lights and stuff back there that were blinking. Want to hear another fun fact about the original series? Back in the late 60s when they shot it, it took like hundreds of watts to light the bridge. So you know what they would do? They would rehearse the shot with none of the lights on. Imagine Captain Kirk, Spock, Uhura, Chekhov, all sitting there rehearsing a scene with none of the lights on, probably under work lights. None of the computers are flashing, nothing. And once they're ready to shoot it, they turn everything on and shoot it, and then turn everything off really quick. Because it would melt, literally melt the set. And the lights that were in the background behind the graphic displays, the lights would melt the plastic graphics. Because they didn't have like LED technology and stuff like that at the time. So I had such a great time with the Farragut guys, and we decided that we were going to form a partnership. They had this bridge, but that was about it. So we banded together, and we got this huge facility, big building in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, I told you yesterday, 9,600 square feet. It's a lot of space, actually. The original sound stage that Star Trek was shot on was 10,200 feet. So we're not talking about too much smaller. And we started building. We moved their bridge over to the new facility, and then we laid out the floor plan exactly the way they did in the original series. I mean, exactly. So the big bending corridor that goes through the set, and then as you, we'll walk through it. Let's say I'm up at one end of the corridor, and you start down the corridor, there's sick bay. A few steps, there's a little hallway, and the transporter room goes right on. Keep walking down the corridor, it's kind of bending, there's the briefing room. Keep walking, there's the captain's quarters. Keep walking, there's the brig, and then around the corners, there's a little intersection where the Jeffries tube is. We recreated all of it. All of it. And I'm telling you guys, if you're Star Trek fans, or your parents, or your friends, we're probably going to be offering tours of the facility, because it's euphoric, you guys. I mean, to see something that vintage on television, you know what I'm talking about, right? When we were young, I mean, you're my boys right here. When we were young, the idea of being able to walk through the Enterprise, that's impossible. It would be impossible. It didn't even occur to you that it actually could exist somewhere that you could actually walk through. Walk in and lay down on the sick bay bed, one of the three. Or walk into the transporter room and step up on the platform. You know what I mean? It's insane. So we built this, and then we started casting. And I told you yesterday, I put together a really great cast of people, most of which are actors. That's a big difference. Most people will tell you, if you've ever watched any fan productions, most people agree that the weakest link in the production is the acting. Because they're not actors, they're fans, they're very enthusiastic, they're committed, they're passionate, but they don't really have any acting experience. So it's not, that's usually kind of one of the weak points. Not for us. I endeavored that we were going to get people who were comfortable in front of the camera and who could portray the characters well. And what we did was, we shot some little teaser trailer vignettes that we started time releasing to let people know like who we are, what we were doing, let them see the sets a little bit, just to kind of get people excited. And that was last May. We released our first one in May, we released the next one in like September, and then in December I think we released the third one, I think. And then in January we shot our first full episode. I'm talking 50 minutes. Oh, but it gets better. And I don't think I told you this yesterday. There is an original series episode that is many people think is one of them, agree, it's one of the best ones. It's one of many people's favorite episode. Our premiere episode is a sequel to that episode, but it gets better. The actor who played the guest star in that episode 45 years ago is reprising his role in our episode. So we have exactly the same actor from the original. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, he's got to be 100 years old now. No, he's only 83. But here's the cool part. We've come up with a completely plausible explanation for why in the Star Trek world only 2 years have passed since they met this character. But there's a reason why he looks so much older now in that short period of time. What we shot is amazing. My DP, Matt Busey, is brilliant, and the lighting, the camera movement, everything about it is it's going to feel so much like the original series, more than anything that anyone has done today. So I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to show you a little bit. Now, let me tell you the first thing you're going to see, I hope. The tech people back there and I were talking about this. I hope it comes out like this. Who can tell me what was the last episode that was ever aired?
Turnabout.
Bam! I love you! Turnabout Intruder. You guys, in this episode, there was a woman named Janice Lester. She used to have a relationship with Kirk, and basically, my guess is Kirk dumped her. He got what he needed, and he dumped her. She never got over that. She had a real vengeance, she had a real vendetta toward Kirk. So you know what she did? She started studying how to become a starship captain. All of the responsibilities and things that you would need to know to be as a starship captain. And then she lured the Enterprise to a planet where she was. And when she got Kirk alone, she used a machine that she had there to switch entities with him. So basically, Kirk's consciousness went into her body, and she went into his. And she thought, I'm going to take over and live out his life with all the power and the responsibility and the accolades of being a starship captain. And I'm going to take from Kirk what is most important to him, his ship. Right?